Good morning, everyone. We are live on this early Wednesday morning for the Wednesday Wake Up with the Teach Better team. We really love that this semester we are going live every single Wednesday at 7 a.m. Eastern to kick off kind of like halfway through your week, make sure your energy's in a good spot, really try and refocus your mind from all the chaos we know you've been going through already this week. Get your feet firmly on the ground and continue to persevere through an incredible week with students. I know we had a lot of educators that have had shortened weeks this week or experiencing some testing this week. We are here to hopefully give you some energy to persevere through all that. We are excited to dive into some challenges, teachable moments, and a community spotlight. So we'll be right back. Good morning as we are getting started on our Wednesday Wake Up with the Teach Better team. Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I just want to note that I know you love that I have a green coffee cup that matches the Teach Better vibe. This one kind of matches Wednesday Wake Up.
I was gonna say that's a little orange. I like it. It's okay. I did that with this book I have back here. It's got a little bit of the orange going on it, so it works really well with the thing. If you don't know this book, my good friend Adam Welcome wrote it.
I also have heard that that's a great book to kick off with staff at the beginning of the year.
That's actually true. It actually is a great book to kick off with staff. Ray wrote some of it too.
Yes, some of it. Teachers deserve it. It's a pretty cool book. Wait, can we start out? Holly is in the house. Good morning, Holly. Good to see you in the comments.
Holly Stewart in the house.
I love Holly Stewart. It's always so fun to welcome in our good friends in the Teach Better community as you guys are getting started in your day, whether you maybe have this up on the television, you're watching over on YouTube and you just pulled up on your smart TV, or you're listening on your phone as you're moving from closet to kids' rooms to bathrooms to whatever. We just really appreciate you here, and always fun to kick off the morning right,
And if you have us up on a big TV, I think we like you better. Just saying.
It's terrible. Cool.
So Eric Geis is in the house.
Yeah, good morning, Eric. Hey, Bree.
Everybody's popping in.
Love it.
Somebody give me a meme of Hump Day with the camel.
This is literally all I can think of when we start the show is when you just wanted to talk about Hump Day constantly.
I had such a strong urge to do it as you were doing your intro, but I'm like, I don't want to ruin it, but I kind of just want to sit back here and start yelling Hump Day like the camel, but I didn't.
Friends, give us the over under. Should we just embrace the fact that Jeff just wants us to be a Hump Day show, or should we change this?
You know what I need to do? I need to get the sound so I can put it in my sound pad here and fire it up every now and then without you knowing it. Just
do you really?
I do. Fire it up? Yeah, I think I need to do that. I think that's gonna happen.
Okay, so
it's a new project.
Bree in the comments is at least it wasn't the name of the show. Bree, it almost was.
Hump Day Live.
And I was like,
the logo could have been a camel.
I was like, we can't do a morning show on Wednesday mornings.
We could have done a commercial of me being like, hey, Dave, you know what day it is? Dave, what day is it? Dave, do you know what day it is? It's Hump Day.
Oh my God. See, this is the problem. See, the problem is on Wednesday morning, it's kind of funny. People in the comments are actually, they like it. Okay. But to promote that all week long, we couldn't get there. I don't know. It just couldn't happen.
Listen, everyone in the comments seems to figure out my strategy. If I say it enough and do it enough, eventually we'll just let's think about this. Brain Break was initially Cocktails and Randomness. That changed. If I can get the community to embrace Hump Day, this won't say Wednesday Wake Up.
Holly says in the comments, the fact that you keep talking about it every Wednesday means that you're embracing it. Holly, stop it.
You could be shutting me down, but you're not. Just a little part of you likes it. A little part of you's like, you know what? I like the camel idea, Jeff. I like the camel idea.
Okay, friends. Happy Wednesday Wake Up.
Ray, we should totally have a camel rides at the conference.
Camel rides
to celebrate our Wednesday show. It'll be a promo.
Can we just confirm really quick? You want camel rides at the conference in Akron, Ohio this October? That one?
Yeah, there's a zoo. Here's a great zoo. They have camels, I think.
Okay. Do you think maybe we could mention to our group that we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn? This is also going to become an episode of Teach Better Talk podcast later today, and we're really appreciative
Yes.
you guys are here.
And Ray, we do this every Wednesday. Every Wednesday is, in fact, what day?
It's hump day. Every Wednesday.
Okay, let's get serious here.
Yeah, seriously, because this show, this calls for serious discussion.
Let's get very serious here. This is important topics. When you put a saddle on a camel, like, is it one person, two people? Like, let me know in the comments. I'm curious. I want to make sure I'm doing this right at the conference.
And while we're debating that, let's get into maybe any other topic.
Oh, everybody thought putting me on another show was a good idea.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff, we haven't even discussed this. Let's just do this live because that's how we do stuff. So I just learned at like 8 minutes ago that Jeff was going out of town starting tomorrow.
You knew I was going out of town.
I did, but I didn't know it was like right now. You know when you have a date in mind where you're like, yeah, in September that thing's happening, and then all of a sudden it sneaks up on you. So I just learned 9 minutes ago that Jeff is going out of town. So here's my question for the community: who's on Wednesday Wake Up next week?
I'm back.
You are?
Yeah, come back on Monday. Just a long way. Did you think I was gone for a full another week?
I thought you were gone for a week, and
no. We just go.
We're back Monday, but I thought it was next Monday.
No. I go back. Like, I'm just gone this weekend. So 4 days of So I'm back Monday night. I'll be back to work on Tuesday.
I thought I was gonna get like Katie Miglin or like.
Well, I mean, if you want to, you can. Like, we can pretend I'm gone. That's fine. I'll just stay quiet.
I might need to try out another member of the Teach Better team next week. Just something comes up. That's what I'm thinking.
It's probably a good idea. Yes, I'm going up to Canada. Canada, look out, Ontario. I'm coming back your way again for a couple days. So
you're going out of town Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Absolutely.
Like, that's a great long weekend that I know you're doing with family, and you're like doing a bunch of stuff that like isn't a vacation. But for Labor Day, did you do anything like vacation-y? Because that's like a long weekend. A lot of people in our community might have taken a vacation.
Yeah, we did not. Jacqueline was sick 4 out of 5 days last week. Yeah, second week of school, she missed 4 of the 5 days. And so we decided, we need to like just make it a lazy weekend. My parents are going on vacation here actually tomorrow too, but they are going for a full 10 days, whatever. Mm-hmm. So they weren't going to see the kids for a while. So they came up, cooked them. My mom's a huge ribs fan. I'm always taking pictures of like the food I'm making and stuff. And she's like, you owe me ribs. So she called and she's like, do you guys want to come out so we can see the kids? And I said, well, no, Jacqueline, we want to keep her home. And my mom's like, all right, well, we'll come up. And I said, that's good. I'm like, do you want to do dinner? She's like, yeah, you owe me ribs. So I cooked 3 different racks of ribs done 3 different ways, and potatoes and corn on the cob and shrimp cocktail, like did the whole 9 yards. So we did that. We cleaned the whole house because that's what we do when my mom comes up. It's like the only time we clean the whole house. So that was what we did. That was our thing. And then we just relaxed. Jacqueline figured out how to learn how to ride her bike.
How exciting!
It has been such a struggle for her. She's like still a little inconsistent, so we couldn't quite go on a bike ride yet. But she's like, really, she's able to go for a little bit before she stops, and that's super exciting. So that's fun.
That's so.
Yeah, that's kind of what we did, and we didn't go out or anything, which is nice. I kind of like that.
I wonder how many people are watching right now in our comments that just wrote a little note to themselves like barbecue this weekend, because I feel like you just listed every reason why I love.
Oh yeah, get the ribs. I did.
Yeah,
we did 3 racks. I do in 3 different ways so that you have options, and it's great because the ladies next door, our one neighbor, she loves ribs, so then I just get to take over like some leftovers and drop it for them and stuff too, which is good.
Well, and I have to say, like, depending on how you obviously barbecue and what your style is like for meal prep, I feel like making ribs, that keeps really well. That flavor is super potent for like leftovers. So as you're prepping for the week, like if you're heading back to the classroom today or whatever, it's like kind of nice to have those.
And that's normally my thought process. I'll make 3 when it's just the 4 of us, because I'm like, well, then I've got lunch for the next 3 days. But I gave all the leftovers away this time. Sent some with mom, and then sent some to the neighbors.
So we actually yesterday had a debate about ribs because, well, many of you know, like I typically wouldn't eat pork, but there are beef
You
ribs.
do beef. So I was actually literally talking Saturday. I'm like, I want to do beef ribs, and I know you've done beef short ribs, right?
Yeah, so I love beef short ribs, but it's very challenging to find like ribs, like what we think of as ribs, as beef ribs in like
Yeah.
restaurants. It's more common to see pork ribs.
Yeah. In restaurants, not very often. I have a neighbor who does a lot of he does a lot of smoking.
Yeah.
He's got like 3 smokers and stuff, and he loves doing beef ribs. He goes to a butcher specifically for them and stuff. So that's my next thing. I gotta get that figured out.
So what I'm hearing is there's gonna be camel rides at the Teach Better conference, and Jeff's gonna be smoking ribs at the Teach Better conference, beef ribs, and you're gonna be able to enjoy a ride and get some good food.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I want to see people eating the ribs on the camel. Like,
yeah, that's good. Holly's in the comments saying ribs plus football games equals a great weekend. Didn't football start this weekend? That's a big deal.
Football starts this coming weekend. Well, college football's going, but
college football started because I know
NFL starts this week. That's right. I'm only watching college this year. I'm sick of the NFL. So
wait. I watched the college football game Friday night. It was Indiana University versus U of I, and Indiana won. Spoiler alert, sorry. And that's one thing I know about football. Did you feel inspired that I told you something about football?
I'm absolutely inspired right now. Just
see, this is the good thing is like I'm spending time with somebody who graduated from Indiana, and yet my whole family was a U of I person. It was kind of nice to root for the other team. Like Indiana was kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
Good. So if any of you are getting to football, apparently this is the weekend to do it. This coming weekend, NFL coming back.
Yeah, we'll be streaming games, I'm sure, while we're up there with the guys closing up the cottage and stuff. Because
you didn't mean streaming games like on
TV. No. I'm sorry, no. Streaming games on the island that we're going to, where and listening in. So good stuff.
I love it. Well, as we get into all of our plans that we either should be doing this coming weekend or did already last weekend, I think we could probably get into teachable moments since we are just distracting people.
Well, we've provided so much value so far. I think it only makes sense to continue.
If you had to identify one major takeaway of the show thus far, what would you say?
Camels.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back to our Wednesday Wake Up, where we're live every Wednesday at 7 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. I promise we're going to talk more than just camels. We're going to talk about actual stuff having to do with education or something of that nature. One thing that we've been trying to do that seems to be doing well is trying to figure out an idea that we can share that hopefully you can take and take into the rest of your week and into the following week. So, Rae, I want to talk today about one of the things that we do a decent bit of work on is the alignment of standards to content to assessment, all these different pieces. And for me, in my mind, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, like the start of this new school year as you're coming into it, like that's a great time to kind of assess how your alignment is, and are you set up, and are you setting your lessons up for, therefore your students up for, and yourself up for success for the year. So I'm curious, if you don't mind, because just so everyone knows, I don't tell Rae what I'm going to ask her on Wednesday mornings, because we get on like 2 seconds before. I'm curious, like as you go, because I mean, there's something that I've heard you talk a million times about this type of thing. But when you're coming into a new school year and you're thinking about this alignment of your content and your standards, from your standards through the content, the instruction, all the way to your assessment stuff, where do you start? Like, how do you even get started with that? What do you look at? What's the important piece? And what's the specific step that's actually reasonable that we could take this week to do that? I'm asking a lot of you right now.
No. I love this topic. Okay. And I know we don't necessarily collaborate on these ideas. So I always love to be like, can't wait what's going to come at the 15-minute mark of the show. But I will say this is actually a really good thing to talk about now. Because a lot of educators are just getting to the school year, right? We have some educators that have been in there for 4 weeks, some that just started yesterday, some that will be starting today. And so as you're getting into like the new school year, it's just, and I mean this in a loving way, it's exciting chaos, right? There's 100 things on your to-do list. There's new information constantly coming. You're getting back in the swing of things of making 300 decisions every moment, and you're learning all your students' names. And so I feel like you can very easily kind of lose your footing and just find yourself in this mode of like hustle and bustle. And when we start talking about really getting our feet firmly on the ground and making sure that we have an intentional year, that our students are given rigorous dynamic learning opportunities, once you get over the hurdle of like the new school year and the routines, alignment is a perfect thing to make sure you're checking yourself on. So when we talk about alignment, a lot of you will refer to this as like the backwards design. This is a great first step, right? We talk about backwards design all the time. Jeff, I know you and I got to catch up yesterday on the phone, but Katie and I were in schools yesterday working with a lot of teachers, and we kind of started every single conversation about the backwards design. What are your goals? What are your standards? So I feel like as a teacher, I like go to Common Core, depending on what you teach, where you teach, what state you teach in, like find your list of standards, find some sort of pacing guide that your district might give you, and make sure that you're starting from what your end goal is and working your way backwards. And I always thought of this as starting with the boring stuff, right? It's the academic, the language, the standard, the kind of, I don't know, I could consider it super boring, even though we need it. And then we work our way backwards to like, what are the fun things we're going to do to work our way towards meeting that standard? And we like to break it down into a few different categories, right? You start with your standard, break it down into targets. And we typically look at those targets using depth of knowledge, like how deeply do our students need to understand the content, which we discover from that standard, which is kind of nice that it gives us that answer. And then from those targets, we create mastery questions. And then from those mastery questions, the questions we need to ask our students to confirm, yes, they've mastered this content. What activities, what fun learning opportunities do we want our students to experience so that they can answer those questions, so that they can meet the targets, so that they can eventually meet that grade level standard? So I love talking about this topic because there's a lot to dive into.
Okay, so where do I want to go now? Where do we want to go now?
There's a lot that we can break down in this.
I'm trying to decide which one of those pieces I want you to talk about more. I almost want to go into mastery questions.
Oh yeah, that's what
the process by which we get those pull those out of the standard, and what they actually are and how you actually use those in the rest of the process and beyond.
Well, and yesterday that was the thing that educators had the most questions on, because
well, that works out.
Yeah, it works out. So you're so smart. A lot of educators understand how to grab their standards. I feel like this has been, at least in the bubble that I'm in education, discussing standard alignment is at least been a conversation that educators have known to try and focus on, right? And then we get into targets, and a lot of educators understand the I can statements, right? What do I want my students to be able to say that they can accomplish? Mastery questions, though, is where I find a lot of educators get stuck because they don't always know the questions they want students to be able to answer so they can evaluate if they met the target. And I think that this is a great focus for all of us, because when you develop mastery questions, again, those questions that if you asked a student that question or a group of questions and they gave you the right answer, you, as the professional you are, would say, yeah, they totally understand what we're working towards. Those questions can be used in a lot of different ways. And that was our biggest focus yesterday, was saying we can use those questions on formative and summative assessments. We can use those questions on conferences. We can use those questions on anything. And as we kind of fold them in, it allows our students to give us the information we need to evaluate them. But it's not always easy to do. You have to know your content really well. You have to understand questioning fairly well. And you also have to know when to pull them in to the conversation. It doesn't only happen when you hand them a paper pencil test, right? Like, these questions are important. And an educator yesterday wanted to know if they could also be prompts. And prompts are a great way to spark questioning with students. So why not throw it in there?
So talking about prompts versus mastery questions.
Yeah, a lot of educators these days are leaning away from a formalized test and trying to get into projects, right? Project-based learning has become a hot topic. STEAM and STEM have kind of sparked this, which is wonderful. There's so many ways to get into student learning and essentially getting the information out of the kiddo to be able to be like, yeah, you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working with an educator yesterday here in Illinois. We were in the Chicagoland suburbs, and the educator was really struggling with creating a sentence that ended in a question mark that got them like working towards meeting standards. And I couldn't figure out why. And I found it was because the teacher more commonly gives the students some sort of prompt, and their project that they create or their answer to respond to that prompt is the data that teacher uses to evaluate if the student understands something. So it was kind of a nice reminder that just because it doesn't end in a question mark necessarily, or maybe it's a longer paragraph that includes a prompt and then a question, that can also be considered a mastery question, right? If you're giving a student a prompt of solve this problem, and by you observing or experiencing that student solving that problem, you feel like you can effectively say, yes, they've met that standard.
So the questions are really like they're the questions that they need to be able to answer, but the way in which they answer them can look a million different ways based on the way in which you pose the question. Because it could be a prompt, it could be through an activity that then allows them to show. In order to complete that activity, they would have to be able to answer that question, and so on and so forth. So it's not just, hey, do you know this? Yes or no, and on. It's understand the questions like what do they need to be able to answer? Okay, now what are all the different ways that I can get them to show me that they could answer this question? It's not just a bubble quiz. And
right. And that was another thing that came up yesterday is the mediums and modalities we offer our students to experience learning or show their learning. We did a really dorky activity, which I think you could all consider doing with your department chair, or something you could even do with your team, is we had teachers brainstorm every way they could possibly think of how they could have students consume knowledge. That's literally how we kind of blanketed it, because I think our group yesterday was getting really stuck on video usage, which I love a great video. Like, sign me up for a 2 to 3 minute video to share information with students, whether it's me or I find something on YouTube. But that's not the only way to learn, and we need to provide versatility to our students' learning experiences. So what's other alternatives to get information out to our students so that they can engage with it? And the brainstorm list was super fun. Obviously, we did the easy ones first, and then a lot of teachers got stuck. But then we got over that hurdle and tried to think out of the box. And I think it would be a really good opportunity to do with any staff this year.
Very cool.
I think it's a good reminder because it's Wednesday. Some teachers are just heading into this school week today because they had Monday, Tuesday off. Some headed back into the classroom on Tuesday because they had Monday off. And some of you experiencing a shortened week, I think it's a good way to like check your stance, is my content aligned? Do I feel like I'm just giving students activities so that they're busy? Or am I giving them activities because we're working towards something? And that something could be a standard that is required by the state you're in, or that standard could be, this week I'm really focusing on getting to know my students. So are my activities, is my language, is my lesson plan aligned to that goal of really getting to know students?
So, yeah. I love that you talk about, like, even if it's not a standard, whatever your goal is, whatever the purpose of it, does it have a purpose? And then two, is everything that you're doing, every piece of it aligned to that? And I think that's when we work with schools. And I mean, one of the most common struggles we see is that things aren't always aligned. There's a break somewhere. And if we can get that, once that clicks, like, the creativity of a teacher just explodes, because now that little hurdle is no longer there. They're like, oh, I get it now. And now they get to explore and result of that is everything they're doing is more purposeful, more aligned, which therefore is more beneficial to the student to actually understand the content, which then means students do better, which means students feel better, which means teachers feel better, which means, and it's just it's a positive, domino effect of growth and positivity there. And it's awesome to watch.
I do have to say, Jeff, the elephant in the room for me constantly, especially this point in the year, is parents and stakeholders. Like, they are watching And like, I always struggled because I knew that parents right now are really, really watching, like, to make their determination. Do they like the class their students are in? Do they like the teachers that are working with their students? And if they don't, I hope they advocate for their child to be getting a great learning experience, which I always wanted to make sure I could describe effectively and rationalize effectively why I was making decisions in my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
When your content is all aligned, you are essentially leaning on best practices, research supported practices for what you're doing in your classroom, which makes it much easier to explain why you made a decision in your classroom versus, I don't know, it just felt like the right decision. I used gut. Not to say that your gut's not amazing, but it feels different explaining yourself to a parent when you have like a ton of research to support you.
And when you can show that alignment, it's the clarity is there.
The
Luckily,
clarity. That's
there's no room for misinterpretation, or less room, we'll say, for misinterpretation of what I'm trying to do, how I'm trying to lead. And it's okay that maybe you didn't see it or don't, you know what I mean? I could show you why I'm aligning and how I'm aligning. Yeah, I think that's a great add-on tip there.
I love your focus on clarity. I think that is one of the most challenging parts of the year, is not only clarity staff member to staff member, leadership team to educator in just starting the school year, but clarity for educators communicating with parents, educators communicating with students. The more we can provide that easy transition of, you don't need to have a bachelor's or master's degree to understand this. I know I've studied how to be a educator for years. You as a parent, this might be your first exposure to school. Here's just in a simple form how we make decisions in this classroom. I think that clarity, that transparency, and that alignment helps with all that. I love that focus.
I agree. And I think what you also tell them is like, hey, you don't have to worry about this.
Yes.
Right. And as in a parent, like if a parent hears something, reads something, whatever, gets scared, gets worried, that parent can come off as irrational, as whatever. And if you can give them that clarity and give them that one of like, hey, you don't have to worry about this. Let me show you. And then they can go, oh, okay, that was just like, okay, I'm good, right? I can settle down now. I can relax now because one, I know you're going to show me if I ask. Two, I see what you're doing and I can go find it and I can, so I think that's the clarity is really important.
So I do feel like discussing alignment, depending on where you are in starting your school year, this might feel really early, right? Some of you might be listening right now and saying, oh my gosh, Jeff and Rae, I'm just trying to get my kids to like walk in and grab a seat and start their bell ringer. Or, you have 100 things going on that you're juggling. I think even if it feels early to talk about alignment, check yourself that it will be a focus sooner rather than later. Write yourself a Post-it, add it to your calendar to just like do a gut check, because alignment is going to be something that if you don't add it as a focus now, can be something that you wish you had done. And then it's the end of October. Teach Better Conference is already done. And you're like, ugh, if I had focused on alignment of my activities all the way through to meeting my standards, I'd feel more confident right now. I would have built stronger relationships with my parents right now. Kind of things like that. So I actually love that you chose this as a focus for our Wednesday discussion.
Well, there you go. Before we jump into our community spotlight, I want to make one note that you said elephant in the room, and I thought that was a great opportunity that you missed to say camel in the room. But we're going to go past that. We're going to move on to our community feature and talk about that. There was a lot there. I want to make sure if anybody's feeling any kind of overwhelm about the alignment, that now they're okay because they're picturing the camel again. That's what I'm here for. Comedy relief and good looks.
Why is a camel relevant to the show?
Oh, because it's hump day.
Hey friends, we are here live for our Wednesday Wake Up, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. Yes, there's been shenanigans. If you are just popping in now, I'm going to do my hardest work to try and make this a successful show, because let's be honest, if you've been here since the beginning, we just want to say we're sorry. We have a lot to go over still, one of which is our community spotlight. Jeff, I really like that we do these.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't. I was on Amazon looking for a stuffed camel to put behind me.
No.
I found one. It's $9.99. It's Aurora Mini Flopsy. It's an 8-inch camel. I'm pretty sure she's going behind me. I'm sorry. We're live. We're live, and Lily is waving. Hi, Lily.
There's got to be a way to do like a VR thing behind you where
They
like
did too. Well, like I don't know if you've ever tried. Have you ever tried the 3D animals on Google?
that's what I'm
Just
saying.
do the camel, and I can just project it. Now I'm thinking I'm just gonna put a stuffed camel right back here, so it's like always with me.
If someone in the comments could just say no and that would be it, that would be great. We
Andrea says Jeff focused.
exactly. We do have a community feature that we want to give. We love being able to do this every single Wednesday wake up show because we not only want all of you to connect with our team members that will be live during this show every single week, but we also want you to connect with incredible educators in our network that are doing just like really good work. So here is our community feature. Jeff, I think you know this guy.
I love that that it's Joshua. Joshua and Mike, who host the Punk Rock Classrooms on the Teach Better Network. Such just well, they're on podcast row at the conference, but just a great. I love their podcast. I love their home message because they really just they took themselves, the who they truly are with the punk rock and the music and stuff, and put it into everything they do. I know Josh does this in his daily role as an assistant principal as well. And I love his quote of, I am passionate about helping build a community in schools where we pick each other up, make each other better students, educators, and community members. And I love that he said, make each other, meaning him included. And the first word he used was students. And that's something about Joshua that I know of is that like and I know so many in our community, he truly believes that as to be a great teacher, to be a great assistant principal, to be a great educator and a great leader, you're first a better student and a great student. And I love that he put that first. I don't believe that was very intentional. And I think that just speaks a lot about what Josh is all about. So
if you guys are not following Josh, he is incredible. First off, you can meet him at the Teach Better conference, which we'll talk about here in just a second, because if you guys like aren't registered for that, you got to do that ASAP. But also you can go follow him and the incredible podcast that he is the co-host of over on Twitter and everywhere else. I love Punk Rock Classrooms podcast. There's so much to dive into there.
Ray, when I was live with Elijah and Tracy, two of our speakers that we were featuring, what was that, on Monday?
Yeah.
They had a list. I made them. I forced them to give me at least 3 people that they were excited about meeting. And Josh was on. It was the 2 Joshuas, Stamper and Buckley were both on there as the top picks to see them like good people. I've never met them in person, so I'm excited about that. And so that's super cool. So come to the conference. Come hang out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because the conference came up, can we just discuss it really fast? Because
sure.
I know there's a lot of promotion out there, but this is the last month to get involved.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a, hey, love you guys. If you're not involved, but you were planning on it,
now's the time. Make the move.
Yeah, exactly. We were talking yesterday to a bunch of teachers and principals, and the principal, totally nonchalant, who we love, was looking at me and he was like, oh yeah, I know, I got my tickets to that. I'm like, so I'm not trying to pressure you, but like, if you don't within the next 4 weeks, you can't anymore. Like, I was like,
at that point give
me perspective.
So like, yeah. So if you, speaking of principals, and if you haven't thought about maybe you're just getting a year, you haven't been able to ask, whatever, we do have literally a letter template already created for you on the site for you to submit to your admin to get the time off, and whether you're requesting subs or compensation for travel or whatever it might be, we do have that, so you can come do that. There's also a lot of like discount codes floating around and stuff, so like look for those or reach out and we'll take care of you. If you got a group that wants to go, there's group discounts and stuff too, so make the move. Right now's the time to do it. Get it locked in. Come hang out with Joshua Buckley in the Punk Rock Classrooms.
It'll be really fun. The conference is October 14th and 15th. It's a Friday, Saturday, but there will be networking Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, including a Saturday morning run. So it is a completely immersive experience. We are keeping the conference small intentionally. I really want to emphasize that. There are so many incredible conferences out there that have hundreds and thousands of people, and we want you to attend those. Those are incredible events, but we really, really value the one-on-one conversations in a small conference, the engagement we get to have with every attendee and presenter at a small conference. So if you are looking for that like very intimate setting, this is the event for you. But that's also why we will cap our registration. So we want to make sure that we like warn you of that early on. It's going to be a really fun event, and it's happening October 14th and 15th in Akron, Ohio. So you can head to teachbetterconference.com to get all those details and see the full schedule. So if you're on the fence because you're not sure what sessions you might be jumping into, you can literally see every single session. I think even the room number they're going to be in over at our conference schedule.
Yes. Awesome.
I did get a text yesterday from CJ Reynolds saying that he officially booked his airfare and hotel, and just
got a message yesterday from CJ as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Good dude. If you don't know CJ, come I mean, I was just gonna say for another reason you can come out and see CJ, but like I could say the same about Joshua Buckley or like anyone else that's on the list. So like just come out.
The lineup's insane, and I have to tell you, I just want to see Mickey Smith Jr. play a saxophone and get like totally amped and inspired. So and also rumor around town, Dr. Dave told me what his keynote's all about, and for that alone I'm going to the event.
Dr. Dave Schmittou
told me all about his keynote and like has this whole plan. I even got to see like the beginning of the slides he's going to be exposing our audience to, and it is like just.
Are we supposed to have slides together already?
No, Jeff.
Okay, good. Dave's just an overachiever.
Yeah, Dave's like a far-reaching overachiever.
He also has a book coming out real soon.
I know. We got to celebrate that too. That's in a few weeks, but we're not telling you any details until Dave does.
No details. Okay. Let's wrap this thing up with a challenge, and then we'll get the heck out of here so you can get to work.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to your Wednesday Wake Up. We are live, as we are every Wednesday now at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And Ray and I both, we didn't make a note about this, but like we both, last week we talked about how you and I were both like having trouble remembering that we do this on Wednesdays and what day it was. We're both here. Neither one of us reminded each other last night, by the way.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true.
How's that? What do you mean?
I sent you a message last night and I was like, hey, Jeff, because you were working. I was like, Jeff, stop working. We have a show.
Oh, you did. Oh, you know what? I thought we were good. I forgot you did include that. I focused on because it was late and we were both working and catching each other working.
Yeah, so we were both working.
Which, by the way, I think it's hilarious how you're working and then you'll text me and be like, stop working, it's late. And I'm like, I know it's like an hour later, like earlier where you're at, but it's still the same amount of time between when we had to get like be on live. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter that it's 7 and 6. Like, it's still.
It was 8:30 at night. I was editing things. Okay, really, I was editing things like just trying to wrap up my brain, so I didn't have a lot to like prep this morning. And you're like doing all these different things. I'm getting notifications from Jeff Gargas. And then I messaged you and was like, hey, I'm going to stop working because I need to go set an alarm.
That is not what you said.
So I needed.
That is not what you said. You said, stop now. Stop working. We have a show in the morning. And that was all. You didn't say, I'm going to stop working.
Well, I did. I grabbed a beverage, which right now would be coffee, but last night was something else. And then I wrapped up my day. So
I was not working. I was doing things that I know trigger notifications in Basecamp, so it appeared as if I was working.
You were doing things just to get my phone buzzing. It was
that's how I do it. I want to make sure people think I'm working.
All right.
Anyway? So I thought the challenge would be good. We talked about a lot about alignment earlier, and master questions, a lot of things, and you talked right at the end. You talked about a gut check right now. And I kind of want to do that, but I want to make sure that we peel back like the challenge, like to simplify it smaller, because I think you're right. Like it could feel like a lot. So I think what I'd love the challenge I'm going to do is to think through this idea of alignment, everything from your standards, your goal, through the questions you're going to ask, into your learning opportunities, to all the way up to your assessments, and how you're lining that. But like, I'm going to want you to go through everything you do and everything you're planning and like spend hours and hours. I just want you to do, I'm going to call it a gut check, like a Rae gut check of just overall, like how am I looking? Maybe you pull out one of your upcoming lesson plans and ideas, or one of your upcoming units, or even just one of your upcoming like learning opportunities, and just check in and be like, okay, is this aligned? Is it aligned? Can I see an easy, clear path to my standard and the questions I'm going to ask and all the way through? Because that might be enough to go, okay, I feel good about that. So at least I'm setting things up right now. I know how to do that. So that's my challenge. Nice, simple. Don't kill yourself. This isn't like an all weekend type thing. This is a pull an hour out, if that, and just do that gut check. So that's my challenge for the week.
It's a great challenge. You can do this with an exit slip you're using later today. You can use this with an activity that you're hanging around the room tomorrow for students. I love that you're challenging us to only do one small step, because that's the hardest part with all of this, is a lot of this can seem overwhelming. And so make it teeny tiny bite size and just be value. We'll appreciate that you got started, and we'll go from there. So good challenge, Jeff. I like that.
If you need any help at all, reach out to us. Please let us know. It is not unheard of for us to be on Zooms, lesson planning, breaking down standards, doing anything like that. So reach out, drop into the Facebook group to ask questions, to throw out ideas, to throw out your findings and see if other people agree. Use this community. It's important.
And it's not just us. Yeah, I love it. It's the community. You can be doing
no, don't come to me. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, go to Rae or someone else, like Katie or something.
Yeah, Katie, Bree, Andrea, Joshua Saber. We are, Dave Schmitto. We have a ton of people on our team that get to do this every single day with educators. So keep us updated on if you need a little boost, because we won't really say no. We would love to meet with you, and we'd love to see if we can help. So be good.
Yes. Awesome.
All right, Jeff, we got to run because we have a full day ahead of us. And apparently you're going out of town tomorrow morning, and I need to get mentally prepared not to be sobbing the rest of the week. So we appreciate all of you that joined us this morning for our Wednesday Wake Up with the Teach Better team. We will see you next week for Wednesday Wake Up at 7 a.m. Eastern. But don't forget, in the middle of that, we do have our Sunday show. Sunday weekly warm-up happens on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusive to our private group if you want to participate in the live comments. Or it actually does stream live, just like we are right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn on Monday nights. That's just the recording of the conversation. We have an incredible guest this weekend, and I'm going to try and compose myself. So I would suggest you show up.
So it also goes to the podcast. I want to note that, but then who's the guest this weekend?
I am not saying.
Okay, when's the panel? We talked about a panel coming up too. You got that's next week, the following week, or is it this week?
The panel's the 18th. So we have a guest. The guest this weekend, I told Brad he needed to really be prepared, because I was just going to be like geeking. That was I'm so excited.
I'm really curious. So I wanted you to know, if you're watching, listen right now, I truly have no idea who this is. The Sunday show is probably the thing I've had the least to do with in the history of our company, because we came up with the idea, we had an idea what we wanted to do, and then we're like, hey, Brad, you want to? Okay, Brad's got it. He just went, and I just haven't even thought about. I've watched it, but I don't. That's it.
It's a face that has appeared to our Teach Better community before. I've interviewed her before.
Okay.
I stalk her on Instagram, and she just illuminates energy. And
is she coming to the conference?
She's also coming to the conference.
Is she speaking at the conference?
She is speaking at the conference.
Instagram stalking.
I'm so excited.
That doesn't narrow it down.
Make sure you come on Sunday. It'll be a great conversation. Otherwise, you can catch it on Monday morning as you're getting ready for your week. We hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. Reach out if you need anything. Bye, friends.